Hi, we're back. And our first guest today is an established author, and I think you're going to enjoy our little talk with Bryan Clark.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's really good to have, I love to have authors come in and talk about their work because, you know, I love writing. I never knew I loved writing till I started working on my books, and before that, all I did was read. But now I do both. Okay, now I would like to know a little bit about you personally first. When did you start thinking about writing something?
Oh my gosh, I think when I first started writing, or at least thinking about writing, I was in high school, and I was being bused back and forth to school, and we were on the bus for about an hour, and my best friend and we would sit down, and I would dictate the story, and she would write the story, and we would do that for the hour that we were on the bus every single day.
Oh my
and we were developing stories way back then. Of course, none of those were ever published.
Well, the whole idea that creative spark was there, you know, when you were in high school.
Yeah.
So did you have to take any training for your writing, or you just self-taught?
No, I am what's called self-taught from the library. As a very small child, we went to the library every weekend with my mom, and we would have to pick out 3 books apiece, and we would read the 3 books during that week. And then we'd go back on Saturday, return the books, and get 3 more books. So ever since I can remember, I've been a reader. And so when you read so many books, you start developing what your sense of what you like, and how if you were going to write a story, how would you write the story?
Yeah.
So they're all kind of a pieced together from my favorite authors.
No kidding.
Yes.
Who were your favorites?
Oh, my absolutely favorite would probably be Gordon Merrick or Patricia Warren. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
really?
Yeah. She was probably one of the first books that I ever read that actually had a gay main character in it.
Wow.
Yes. So.
Well, you know, it takes a long time for people to start softening up and not thinking only of themselves, but looking at other people in a different way.
Yes, yes. And and that is my writing. All of my books deal with some type of moral dilemma that the 2 main characters must overcome for their love to survive. Yeah. And at the end, it always ends up, love is just love.
Well, that's the truth that you can't get away from, you know. And we can't live without love, you know, so we might as well then go ahead and indulge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that everybody needs love. Everybody feels love. Everybody wants to be loved. And everybody, deserves love.
That's
for
sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And your first book, what inspired you to write this first book? See, she's got 3 published books. This is fantastic. And this is called Ancient House.
Yeah.
Ancient House, and there's it up on the screen.
Yes.
But this is fantastic.
Yeah, Ancient House of Cards, I wrote that several years ago. It is not a spiritual book. It is a romance novel between 2 men. One of them is the priest. He is a very young priest from Spain, and he's always known that he was going to be a priest one day. And so then when he's finally ordained at the age of 30, he's in a little town in Colorado, and he meets this troubled soul. And this gentleman is in his early 20s, and he suffers from lots of abuse, and he has lots of issues. And in dealing with this man, he has realized that he has feelings for him. And he's conflicted now because his entire life, all he's ever wanted to do was serve God and be a priest. And now he has the dilemma of, you mean I can't have love? I can't ever love anyone. And he has this moral dilemma of how these 2 can exist.
Gosh, that is fast. That's really a hard one, because so many times you wonder why the church says you can't love somebody, or you know, why can't get married and have a family? it just, it's hard to understand.
Yes, and that's one of the things that my main character, Father Sebastian Morales, has to deal with, is that when he took the oath and he took the pledge to remain celibate, he had never experienced love. So he was giving something up that he had absolutely no idea what he was giving up.
True.
Yeah.
How true that
Yeah.
is.
So-
And I've never thought of it exactly in that way, but that is really true.
Yes.
That so many of them go in not knowing what they're giving up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point you're forced to make a choice. Do you stand by that oath and that pledge that you took, or do you follow your heart?
Well, a lot of times people don't realize that loving another human being is loving God.
Yes.
There's,
Yes.
it's the same thing. Why make a big issue about it?
Yes, yes. And in the book, it points that out, that it is a struggle that no one could even begin to comprehend when you have two things that you love, and you're being asked to make a choice between the two.
Absolutely true. Well, this sounds like, I said the name wrong, Ancient House of Cards. This, I'm sure, is really an important book for a lot of young men to read.
Yes, and the name Ancient House of Cards is a little play on the House of Cards that we used to have a deck of cards, and we would build houses, and and then eventually the house would fall down because it was kind of flimsy. There was nothing to support that house. And the ancient house is talking about the church and how old the church's philosophy is, and that eventually it crumbles on him.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Really think about this book because there's a lot of information that's very close to the soul.
Yes.
And this is your second book.
Yes, Before Sunrise is my second book.
Before
Yeah.
Sunrise.
Yeah.
Another interesting cover.
Yes. That book came out in 2015, and it deals with the moral dilemma between a swimmer who is swimming for his university, and he is quite good. And the coach, which is the main coach, has recruited him to help rebuild the swim team.
Oh.
And through their interactions, they fall in love. And the moral dilemma here is he is a staff member for the university. He is his coach. Should he be entering into a relationship with this man?
I see.
Yes.
I see. That also brings out a lot of things that people question.
Yes.
Might find some answers in this one too.
Yes, yes. And if I can get someone just to think a little bit and put the book down, and they're thinking about what they just read, then I think I've done my job.
Oh, yes,
what
that's definitely what you want to do. And this is your brand new book.
Oh, I'm most excited about this one.
Come to the Oaks. This is your brand new one.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Come to the Oaks will be released on May 1st. You can purchase it through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. All three books are available in either Kindle or paperback. Yeah.
Wow.
Come to the Oaks it's a historical. It's a
Oh,
historical
yeah.
romance.
I love that.
Yeah, it takes place in Kentucky, pre-Civil War, 1845, and the story is of a young slave that has been brought over from West Africa. He ends up on a plantation in Kentucky, and on that plantation, there is the master's son, and they are about the same age, and they have some interactions where they are brought together. And when they're brought together, they realize that they share something in common, and that's their love for one another. Yeah.
Well, that's got to open a whole lot of dangerous doors.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that story has been told yet. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't either. It's usually you hear about the master and the slave girl.
Yes.
But, this is going to be interesting, everybody. Think about this one. Anyway, tell them one more time where they can get these.
Well, you can go to my website, www.btclark.com, or you can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and just type in my name and the title of the book.
That's fantastic. So if you go to Barnes and Noble or any of them and you ask about the books that we talked about today, you could get some really good things. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
again for
coming
having
in.
me.
And yes, it's wonderful. We'll be right back.